Okay, we're going to do the workshop. And I've already logged into the Code Ready workspace, and I've logged in down here. You can see as user 3, and I have logged in to OpenShift as well. I did that a little ahead of time, and I'm logged in as user 3, and there's nothing running in Cloud Native Apps. So first thing we need to do is clone our Git repository so that we have software with which we can work. So I will git clone, paste that, and note that that puts that into a source tree here in the project browser. So that's cool. That's exactly what we want. And now I'm going to clone, or I'm sorry, I'm going to check out the version I want, which is branch OCP 4.5, which matches the version of OpenShift we're running. And that looks like it worked. Then I don't have to remove other projects. I've already enabled a terminal, and you can see I'm there, and I've already logged into OpenShift as user 3. So did a little bit of homework ahead of time here. Now on to the microservices. We're going to do an inventory service, then a catalog service, then shopping cart, and an order. So we'll start with the inventory. You can see if you look at the source here that you can expand any one of these microservices and see what's in the tree. The thing we'll do here is I won't describe a lot of what's going on here because you can read all that, and it's great reading. You can keep a copy of this document quite easily. And what we'll do is we'll begin using a service, inventory service, that uses a in-memory H2 database, which is a great local testing database strategy. And we'll actually use a Maven command in order to build the app and start it up, not in OpenShift, but just in a build host, which happens to be an OpenShift, but it's not going to be deployed as an OpenShift artifact. Okay, so I can open this browser when this comes up. The inventory is running. It's compiled in Quarkus, the microscopic subatomic supersonic Java strategy. But if I refresh by now, it's up and running. So that worked just fine. So I'll open another terminal, and with a second terminal, I can do a curl command, and I'll be able to see if it's working when calling this API, and I'll know it's working if it brings back an appropriate JSON object with some of the same content, or all the same content. There it is. There are the item IDs and the locations and quantities that we have in inventory. Now, if we do a Control-C to stop that command, we can invoke a plugin that will adapt our project to using the Java database connector. So I will stop this, and that did paste the command there, and now that'll create the build I want, well, the extension installation I want. Let me paste that one more time. Okay, the extension has been installed. Next, we go into OpenShift console here, and we're going to go into a particular project called Cloud Native Apps and instantiate a database for a backend. And that is going to be in PostgreSQL ephemeral, and it's called an inventory database with a service name of inventory database. So how do we do that? We go in here Click on Postgres Ephemeral, instantiate, and this is inventory database. Because I've done this before, it pops up in my browser. Inventory. The secret password is my secret password. Inventory. And create. Now we're seeing a deployment occur. And the text describes that as these turn darker blue, it becomes available. But we're going to move ahead because now we wanted to deploy the application. I've already done this part. And we'll do a compile here that'll result in a build and the creation of a, using the image source to image, and then actually coming up with a fully built container artifact for deployment as pods. So we'll do that. And this just take a couple of minutes. You'll see that we're starting with a Java development kit image container. And the image stream is called OpenJDK-11. And then we'll invoke a script within this environment that'll build the source code onto that builder image. It's called a source to image build st2i. And you can see here it's actually this assemble script, and then so user local s2i assemble, and that's what creates the final image that we want. Now it's storing that into the caching registry within OpenShift. Build success. And this will determine if it's finished with the rollout, because it actually moves on from the build to a rollout. And it has. So if we look at topology, we should see it, and here it is. It's starting to deploy. And there's one more step here. If we apply some labels, carefully selected here, this will make the image more clear. It'll show the linkage between the application and the database, and show the proper icon for PostgreSQL, the little elephant mascot. Does that through annotations that are read by OpenShift for rendering in this application. Now, theoretically, if I click on this, I will see the inventory, and I do. That's a good thing. So that worked. Now, next we're moving on to the catalog service. So in the source code, I'll just get rid of inventory service and take a look at the catalog service. And there's the project, including the POM file. And it explains that we use a different bill of materials than Spring Boot usually uses, because we use something called Snowdrop. It's a Red Hat contributed part of an open source project. And it explains in terms of the catalog resource where the code is defined to do what it's currently doing. And I'll do a build here. And this will take just a couple of minutes. That was the build. And now we'll build a database for the catalog. Just the same as the first one, except wherever we had inventory in the first one, we'll say catalog. So this will be easy to do. Going to add over here on the left, database, PostgreSQL, and this will be catalog, inventory, or catalog database, I should say. Catalog, my secret password, catalog, and create. Now while that's occurring, we'll make a build configuration. This won't create the build, but this will set it up so that the system knows, the Kubernetes system knows how to create a build, and does that through a build config. Then we can start the build based on that build config. And what we're illustrating is different ways to use the command line to do builds within OpenShift. And you can translate this into what you want to do in terms of your pipelines. This one has a -- follow, which means that we'll be able to monitor these logs and know exactly when it's completed. So here we're going to take a jar file, assemble that onto the builder image to get this final artifact. And then we'll actually deploy it using the series of commands and do that labeling we like to see. So right now we have the database. Let's go ahead and do the front end with that series of commands. That doesn't take long. And here we go. I like to range this. It's very springy. There we go. And theoretically, just like on the inventory, if we clicked on the catalog link, well, it's not up yet. We'll give it a moment or two. And a refresh brings it up. So that's good, that worked. So that's the catalog. Now we need to take a look at a shopping cart service. And here there's more work to do, because we're going to actually be editing some source code in order to get this to work. This will be good for us. So the cart service, and we'll create a new app for a database or for a grid. And this is a high-speed caching grid built on the Infinispan open source project. And this will give us a very fast data access layer for the catalog service, so that when we are very, very busy with this application, it'll be able to stand up to the bandwidth concerns and all the calls. So there it is. It's standalone. It isn't tied to anything, and nothing is tied to it at this point. So now we can start looking. If we start looking at our files, the documentation here suggests we look at the cart proto file and the meta information directory, and we can see the definition of the object, what it's comprised of in terms of variables that make up the messaging capability in standard fashion to and from that caching layer. And it's saying here, hey, we're missing this product message definition, and that belongs in cart proto. So let's put it there. Get a source. And there it is. Takes a little used to going through these trees, but there's a spot for it right there. There's product. Okay. Now we need to look at product Java and note that how this matches that messaging schema. Then we'll need a new class called product marshaller.java. And that goes in Cloud Native Model. Okay, so it should go in here. So I'll just create a new file under there with the name we need. Okay. And this is what should be the source code in that file. So now we have the ability to read from and write to a ProtoStream. And now it's time to configure the remote cache. We need to look at producers Java. Right here. And once there's a spot to add get cache. And here's get cache and get config builder. Copy that and paste it. Paste that above this, but that's fine. Well, I'm a little superstitious some days. Put that comment where it belongs. And now we have all the blocks, building blocks ready to go. Let's start using our cache. So we need to do an inject remote cache, and that's under Shopping Cart Service Implementation. I'll find it right here. Okay. Let me clean this out. Okay. Okay. Add get cart method. This is in cart resource. Okay. And then it says above the code, on top of the get cart method, and there's a reason for that. This defines part of the path we need to get that cart. We need to have the path of the cart ID defined. I'll put that up on top. Okay, the operation. Okay, now we need to add an extension with a Maven command. And that extends it for OpenShift. And part of that is putting these booleans or these annotations here into application properties. For the OpenShift extension. And now, here on this Maven command, we'll get our build. Once that build is done, we'll do a rollout. And we'll watch it. That we know when it's done, so we can do our annotations and labels to get the graphics right in our topology. Okay, that indicates the application is rolled out. There it is. And we've done this a couple of times already. So we'll just take these labeling commands, annotation commands, run them. And now we have the data grid service up and going. If we look at the cart, this indicates Quarkus is running, but that isn't really a link for human consumption from HTML. So we'll continue on. We can look at the Swagger UI, so you can see the defined APIs and their schemas. So that's pretty cool if you're programming to be able to have access to all this information easily and clearly. Now we've got our cart service up and going, and it's time to deploy the order service. The first thing I want to do is change my focus to order service. There's the project. That way my editing will be less likely to find the wrong files. Okay. Those extensions have been added. And if we were to take a look at the POM file, we'd see that these actually added them to the POM file. That's how it created the extensions. And the same with the JSON REST. Now we need to find the Cloud Native Order Service class. There it is. And we're going to inject the Mongo client statement there. Or put the Mongo client statement of injection in there. Okay. Then the while loop, so this gathers the elements together and closes the cursor for the write. That goes here. Add a document-based order here. In the add order method. Add method order. Okay. That looks good. And these two methods convert between a document object and for a MongoDB and order document as our business value object. Under order resource, we'll add JAX-RS extensions. Okay. Order service. And then here are our methods for listing, adding, updating. Okay, so we have more to do. Source application properties, MongoDB configuration. the order codec. Cloud Native. Add encode and decode contexts here. Okay. There's codec order and order codec. Do not confuse them. Now we need to edit the order codec provider. All right. And then codec order service. Then we'll get to run some commands. This is the easy part. Do a build on a Mongo image. Then roll it out. Making sure that a rollout's occurred. There it is. Let's do our labeling. It should look like that. Sure enough. If we access orders, we should see an empty set. And there it is, an empty set right there. That's exactly what we wanted to see. And of course, we can call the API. And see an equally empty set there. Now let's deploy the web UI service. That's the cool store UI. And this an Angular Patternfly Node.js application. And looks like we're not going to do a whole bunch of editing within that. That's good. Let's label it. We'll wait for Node to show up. There it is. That's our hub. Okay. Now we can access the cool store. Just what we wanted to see. A Quarkus t-shirt, cool. I gotta get one. Quarkus hat. Time to go shopping. And that is the end of this section, this chapter.